Hi Libra, it's Rebecca from Being Human Tarot here with your April 2019 reading. This month I'm reading with the Smith-Rider-Waite deck, so it's the traditional one, feeling sort of classical this month. I'm going to get right into a reading because I've been talking too much early on in these videos and I want to just kind of cut to the chase more. So as a reminder, I read with this 3-card spread for these, and the first card, which I've already shuffled and laid out your cards, is for the position of what to focus on this month. And for that, you drew the 4 of Swords reversed. So as you can see, I'm actually going to turn it up for a second. I have a hard time looking at the cards reversed. Even when I'm interpreting a reversal, it's just hard. I don't love it. And I guess that's part of it, is the discomfort of it, and then you can look at it from different ways. But anyway, just a little sideband. So in the 4 of Swords, there's a guy who's really taking the time to rest. And so that's what that is your focus for the month. In terms of it being reversed, you still need to take the time. You need to take a bit of a time out. I don't know if you've just been overactive this month or like in previous months or what, but it seems like you're also struggling because of the reversal placement to give yourself permission to take that time. And so the card in the universe is telling you it's totally okay. We all need to take that time. And you're a sword, or not a sword. Sword is an air energy. You're an air sign. I feel like that's something that you can get down with, ultimately, even if you've been resisting it a little bit, because you're not going to get anywhere if you're not sort of baseline taking care of your foundational needs. And so if you find yourself pushing back on that within yourself a lot and perhaps feeling overextended, whether it's work or social life, we unfortunately can't just sort of dip on our jobs for an extended break. Some of us can if we have paid vacation and enough saved up and that sort of thing, but even then, sometimes we can't take off because it's too busy time of year for whatever our work is or something like that. So anyway, just to give a million examples with caveats, but yes, so sometimes we just have to power through work was my really long way of saying that, but it doesn't mean that you can't still implement things into your workday that would be taking breaks. You can take and again, I'm saying you can do this, but I don't know everyone's particular work situation, so maybe you can't, but it is a suggestion if it's possible for you. So maybe you can take a few smaller breaks throughout the day. Make sure that you can, even if you can't take a proper lunch break or something like that you can take 10 minutes here and there some people like to meditate. That's something that's always been harder for me to get down with, just because I have such a very squirrely, active mind. But I know that a lot of people get into it and find it super helpful. And so that could be something you could try. Or if it's just walking, if you find your mind is too active for that, you could just, do a few laps around the area you work in. If you're able to go outside, do a few laps. And that might not seem like resting, but it's a way of taking a break from what you're doing and recharging from it, even though it's in an active way. So it is sort of refueling. So that's, those are just a couple of examples in terms of how you might be able to do this in your work, if your work is a little bit more rigid. Socially, of course, just stay at home if you feel like you need to. Just take care of yourself. Do what your gut tells you. In your position of what to set aside, you drew the Chariot reversed. And I actually think this I think these two pair well together this month. Because I think what is happening here is a Chariot is about like kind of like succeeding, going forth, being triumphant a little bit. And it's in the reversed. And it's in your set aside. So what that means for you this month is that much like, sorry for the background noise, much like, you know, you're doing with the Four of Swords, well, it's different. Basically, don't put pressure on yourself to be winning at everything this month, to be like uber succeeding, to be meeting work goals and then some. If you're typically a bit of an overachiever and that's your norm, this month is the time where that's less important. And if you're panicking and feeling like, no, like that's just how I operate, like it's an unsustainable way to operate 100% of the time. We all have ebbs and flows and times when we're going through something, and even when we're like not necessarily going through another thing. Sometimes we're just in a different energy period. Ugh, I don't like energy period for that. It felt like a little hippy dippy and like not concrete enough of an example, but I think you know what I mean. It's just, it's not to say neither of these cards are saying that you should give up or take the easy road. It's more of like, give yourself permission to be human, right? Like, that's very fair. So, make sure you think of yourself in that way. And even if you have to like say that to yourself, it's a good reminder because it just sounds so obvious, right? And in your position of additional consideration, you drew the Sun. Very cheery card there. So the ultimate message for you this month is your perceived way of getting to the sun, which is this sort of basking, like where I want to be. Think of the feeling your skin has when you've been in the dark and maybe you're even a little bit cold and in the shade or something, and then like clouds break and the sun comes through, and then like how good that feels on you. Like that's what the sun is about. And so it's a reminder that how we get to the success and the basking and the happiness and the glow of the sun is not always in the way we think it is. It's not always by giving 1000%. It can be by taking care of ourselves and slowing down and not fully buying into the rat race, right? Not always being in such competition. And I used work as an example a lot in this reading, but it does not have to apply to work. Those things can apply definitely to just all interpersonal relationships, the way we approach them. Because people can be competitive with their relationships. People can be weird about when they're meeting certain life milestones and if they're where they should be and that kind of stuff. So pay that no mind, you know, that's getting super intense. I mean, it's human, we all do it, but the sun is a reminder that if you kind of like can exist in these reversed stages and like the wisdom that those two cards are giving, you're gonna be happy. You're gonna be happier than resisting and not giving yourself, both mentally and physically, the break that you need. So that's your reading for April, Libra. I hope you found it useful, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. I upload videos before the first of every month, and if you subscribe and then hit the bell icon afterward, you'll be automatically notified about when I upload those. So that's it. Have a lovely April. Take it slow, and I hope to see you in May. Bye, Libra.